Hi, and welcome to another episode of the New Ray Media Show. And I've been filming quite a few this past month, and I'm just so happy to be hearing these different experiences, different challenges, and how they overcame them. And today we have a very special guest, Jake from Mid-Day Squares. He is the co-founder and unofficial choreographer at Mid-Day Squares. And today we're just gonna spend a little bit more time getting to know him. Well, thank you, Jake, for taking the time, and thank you, Jake's team, for putting this together. Let's kick it off.
Let's fire this podcast up.
Yeah, first question. Like, you always have this crazy energy, like on all the videos. I don't know if it's just what you guys are choosing to record, but have you always been like this? I try to be that at sometimes. I guess it's just not my personality, and it's exhausting. Like, has that always just been you?
Yeah, so I think that something that I really stand by is always be unapologetically yourself every single day, every week, every minute. And that's how you achieve greatness. That's how you become your best version. For me, I've always been the energy bunny. You know, going back all the way back to when I was in high school, I was always the class clown, pranking the teachers, the professors. I was always doing the fun stuff, right? So my energy has always been given to that. I've always liked that energy of good vibes and spreading it. And then as time went on, I started to realize that my purpose in life is to actually go out and spread good vibes every single day, make people feel something really deep inside, and then show the world that you could win at whatever you do, whatever that means, meaning if you want to be a professor, if you want to be a pilot, if you want to own a chocolate company, by just being unapologetically yourself every single day. And my goal is to really show that Mid-Day Squares will be a unicorn business, but we will have done it by being ourselves and not follow the norm or the way that, you know, typical companies in food are built. So yeah, I've always been like that. And, you know, yes, I have moments of rest, like where I'm home, you know, alone and I can't even talk. I'm so quiet because I have no energy left. But if you see me on video and you see me in person, I'm actually the exact same person. I'm that energizer bunny that's ready to fire up. But yes, I do have down times where I'm really exhausted deeply and I need to be alone. Otherwise, I'll be angry.
Yeah, that's me for half an hour outside. So no, I think that's super valuable because at least for my personality, when I try to analyze you as like that being that energetic, like, okay, sometimes I as a person need that person that sparks the energy, and then I can feed off of it and keep going, right? So I see that value of having you, you know, as a friend or as a like in a company or anything. So like, kudos, man. We need people like you.
The goal is to make people feel something deeply, and I want to inspire. You know, like the goal is if I could inspire one person to be a little bit more bold or a little bit more themselves, then I have accomplished, or I am accomplishing my goal of life. So like in the company, I fire my team up, but I also go out and fire up many other people and other teams. And it's not to sell more product. It's to get you closer to our brand and to make you part of our journey. And if I could do that, then I consider that winning, whatever winning means to anyone. But winning to me is inspiring more boldness in individuals by showing them that boldness is actually, that fortune actually favors bold.
How have you seen, or have you been able to step back and see how you've affected like the relationship with your distributors, your investors, with your way of just being you? Has it changed Mid-Day Squares?
Yeah, so my role is to be a rainmaker. So my goal is to literally every single day, day to day, is to focus on what relationships can I bring to the company that can actually be utilized by different departments, whether that be sales, retail, internal, HR, whatever it is. My goal is to build a relationship with someone first or some entity first, and then make them feel something so deeply that they love us, and then bring them to our organization where they then get put through a pipeline of who needs them, who needs to work with these groups, and who do I connect them with. So yeah, like the organization has received Mid-Day Squares. I've gotten us the investors. I've gotten us buyers. I've gotten us journalists, to write about us. So that all comes down to the good vibes I'm spreading and the energy I'm putting into relationships. And then they become transactional after we become friends. I always say, make friends first that you actually care about and want to love and all this stuff. And then do the transaction, do the business sense. Because if you're friends first, it will be a lot better relationship, a lot more productive, a lot more ebb and flow, rather than everything just being so transactional and just like nitty gritty numbers. And it's like, that just takes away all the fun out of corporate, which corporate should be fun.
I mean, life should be fun, right? why go to work and then just hate it and then just have fun after? Like, I think it brings me my next thought. Like, you're in a family business, right? It's sometimes, let's say I have a business with my mom, so it's like I have that relationship. I've worked in other businesses with just completely like strangers or, co-workers. I feel like in family businesses, you have to sacrifice a lot more sometimes, or give and take a lot more, and be willing to sacrifice, maybe put in more hours or help that person out. Do you feel that? Do you think that's true? Well,
I think that like first of all, speaking of a family business, like, my brother-in-law, my sister, and I are partners. So we're really tight family, but we didn't go into business because we're family. We went into business because the three of us complement each other's skill set tremendously. So what I'm good at, they're not so great at. What they're good at, I'm not so great at. So when you put the puzzle piece together, when you put the puzzle, it all comes together. We become a strong tripod. Now, in order to keep that relationship really strong, our partnership and our family relationship, we see a business therapist once a week, mandatory, in good or bad times, to focus on our communication, to work on our communication, to understand each other, to work on hard conversations that we're going to have. And now we even use it sometimes up to 3 times a week, because therapy is the only reason why the three of us are still very strong partners and very strong family members or friends, let's call it. And I think that that's super important for any business is how do you work on your communication and make it as strong as possible, as clear as possible, and most importantly, have respect for each other. Because if you have respect, then things will get done. If you don't have respect, the tension, the anger, the animosity will start to build.
I mean, that's brilliant. I don't know if everybody can afford a once a week session, but just having that time where you come together as a family to just chat and bring anything up, because it can be very difficult. Like just walking down the hall, like, hey, you know what, that confrontational, no? But you lock out that little time, just, that everybody can bring up anything, have the conversations, that's awesome. Any business should be doing that.
Yeah, and at the beginning, we couldn't afford it. This was an investment we chose to do instead of spending on marketing or spending on, even R&D. This was to make sure that our partnership had a core strength, a foundational partnership that was not just there and that was going to fizzle away, that we actually are aligned. We believe in each other. We trust each other, we love each other. And that has paid off in dividends that I can't even put a number on.
I was listening to a Mr. Beast podcast maybe like last week, and he was talking about how these old corporations that don't want to invest in, influencers or that kind of new era. Do you see yourself, building your own personal brand? Because I see your face, and yes, it's attached to Mid-Day Squares, but in the future, 10, 20 years from now, whatever you want to do, like you're building a personal brand in my eyes, and you could just turn around just like Mr. Beast is doing. He wants to open a restaurant, and 3,000 chocolate bars, like anything, right? Because it's your face. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, so I don't think our goal was to build our personal brands as this goes, but our goal was to celebritize Mid-Day Squares. By doing that, we would have to celebritize the individuals to then bring in fans to the customers. And what's ended up happening is, you're right. Like, for example, on LinkedIn, I have 18,900 followers, so 19,000 by end of probably this week. And this is a whole world of people that like what they're seeing from my content. I'm writing creative thoughts, and just like, I hope I'm inspiring. And you're right, it's turning into a personal brand where I'm getting on podcasts, I'm getting on TV, radio. And it's not only about Mid-Day Squares, that's a part of my life, but it's about entrepreneurship. It's about my experience, the good and the bad times. How do you get through that? And it's like, you're right, eventually, I'm not sure where my life's going to take me, but I can tell you that I'm committed to Mid-Day Squares and building this to $1 billion business over the next, 5-10 years. And then I don't know what's next for me personally. My partners will likely stay in the business, but for me, I like to inspire people, and I really have passion for that and energy for that. So yeah, personal brand is becoming very relevant to me over time, but it's not my focus. My focus is, how do I build this chocolate company to be the largest one? In the meantime, while I'm doing that, let's continue to build the J. Karls brand, let's call it.
Do you think that you could share one of the biggest challenges that you faced in the beginning? I feel like most of our audience is just starting out, the first even year or 3 years. Like, what was the first challenges in your department that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
My ego was a problem at the beginning. I wanted to be, because I'm an owner of a company, I wanted to be a manager. And I think that I so badly wanted to, because of the societal norms of like, if you own a company, you should be managing, you should be an amazing manager because you're a boss, whatever it is. And my ego got in the way and I started making very bad decisions, a very bad manager. So I originally put a title of a CMO. And it was horrible. It was god awful. And I was playing to my weakness. I wasn't playing to my strength. And then 8 months in through therapy, I realized that I got to drop this manager. I got to be managed. My strength is something so different than this. So why am I, again, leaning into societal norms of forcing myself to do something because I think that that's what it's supposed to be in the quadrant of life. And then I just said, screw it, fuck it. And I started doing me and everything started to get better. Everything. I started playing to my strength. So I think anybody that's starting a business is find your strengths, play strengths. For your weaknesses, hire others, partner with others. Don't spend as much time on learning to get better because in the end, you're going to optimize yourself by playing to your advantages and your strengths, not to your weaknesses and your hardships.
I like that. Yeah, I think we have that biologically, right? Racing up the ranks and being at the top to be special, to get the better food, better housing. I think that's just in our DNA, but being able to step aside from that and realizing that maybe your best role is the hype man or something different, not just being the very tip of the spear management area. I love that. How about, I'll switch it up a little bit to you. Do you have a brand when you were a little kid or a commercial or a product that just like took over your life and you just, it's there, like emotionally connected to you? Like, just to give an example of a good campaign or a good product that just stuck to you years after.
I think Nike's done a phenomenal job in creating this motivation and inspiration that I've watched my whole life because I'm a big fan of sports and the comeback stories and all this stuff. So I think that's been a brand that stayed true to their authentic story, and they've been telling an amazing story that's working, and that's why you pay the premium you pay on the brand, or that's why you buy a pair of Nikes, right? Is you feel that what their story has convinced you over the last 30, 40 years. So I'd say Nike is definitely that brand.
Just to wrap it up, I think I just need to give you a topic and you run with it. I love that. Give some inspirational speech, man. Like just give it to us. Tell us guys just starting out our companies, like what do you think that we should focus on and not let things get in the way of our success?
I think understanding the concept of putting yourself in uncomfortable zones is where the magic will happen is really key. So, you might not want to do something, you might think it's really scary, or you might think it's, weird. But the moment you step into that zone, you're unlocking a new world. So you don't know what's going to happen. It could be bad or good, but it's not going to be average. And I think that that's where you'll get an opportunity. You always got to think you're one door away from any opportunity in the world. So I always say to people, get in the uncomfortable zone, get comfortable with it, train your muscle of comfort to get stronger and stronger and stronger over time. And most importantly, as you grow your business, block out the noise. Make sure to put horse blinders on because there's people around you that care about you and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they don't always understand what you're going through and your vision is. So what they'll do is they'll talk, and it will take you off your game. If you just stay focused on what you do best and what you're trying to build, I can promise you, you're giving yourself your best chance at winning. And even if you lose, you've learned so much. So go out there, get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and put horse blinders on and stay focused.
The treasure is always behind the dragon, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's it, man. Like our podcasts are around 20 minutes, and you rocked it. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for your team for making this happen too.
I appreciate you, my man. Keep rocking. Be bold and never change.
Thank you, bro. Have a good day.
I appreciate you, my man. Thank you for having me.
Bye.